Hey all, wanted to take some time to discuss a quick build guide that I have for a skill I really haven't seen anyone discuss. If you search for it on Reddit or YouTube, you basically get nothing, and if you have the power of literacy, you know I'm talking about Stormblast Bolts. I have 1200 hours in PoE 1, my first league was Breach. I had no idea what a season was, nor what Breach was. That said, I fell in love with the game. I loved the action, the gear, the choices, the challenge. I obviously knew PoE 2 was coming, but didn't really follow it. Before I even knew it, early access was a few weeks away. I spent some time watching some videos trying to find what kind of character and ascendancy I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to play something ranged, I knew I wanted to play something new, so I ended up landing on the Mercenary Witch Hunter. I decided to look at the skill gems and landed on Explosive Grenade and Stormblast Bolts. Clearly nobody really had any idea how anything would work, so we all were just kind of taking some guesses at it. I followed build guides my entire time playing PoE 1, so making a skill tree on my own, making my own skill choices, was something that I really wanted to do because I just really got tired of following guides. So the skills seem simple. I shoot grenades, I shoot Stormblast Bolts. Grenades explode, Stormblast Bolts explode in the area where the grenades explode. The more I put down, the more the screen explodes. So, I want to clarify, I do not have a PhD in Path of Exile. I can say though, so far I think the build works, and I'm having fun with it, and I think that's what games are really for. So, if you like to one-shot enemies, and just watch a boss lose large chunks of the life, then I think this build's going to be for you and you might like it. So, I'll quickly guide you through my gem choices and the skill tree for leveling. I'll kind of explain where I'm at and where I want to take this. I was going to make this guide a few days ago, but literally as I'm writing my script for this, GGG went ahead and buffed Stormblast Bolts. Really, the main change is you used to only have 9 down at a time, and now they increased it to 30. So if we look at the skill itself, it does damage twice, sort of. So 60% physical damage converted to lightning damage, and it fires 3 bolts at a time, and you can now have, I think, 5 bolts in your arsenal before you have to reload. So, I have Scatter Shot on here, so I put down 5, and you can have up to 30 at a time, which is way more than it was. So, you can have this large area explode as enemies whatever walk into it. These supporting skills I have, or actually, you know what? Let's talk about the explosion first. This is the good part. The impact of the Stormblast Bolts, I really don't care about. It's really inconsequential. It's 43% attack damage, but the explosion, 203%, converts all physical to lightning damage, and the explosion is the radius is double of what the impact is. So right off the bat, we want physical damage, we want lightning damage, we want area of attack radius. Anything that increases it, that means just more bolts will hit more enemies. So, supporting gems I have, Primal Armament, that's just 25% more elemental damage, 30% lightning pen, and Scatter Shot. There are times when I'm fighting a boss, I will swap in this concentrated effect. I really would only do this in tight quarter maps, maybe like I'm on the one now, or a boss that really doesn't move a lot. Can swap that, and then you obviously get 40% more damage, but the area of effect is much less. That's the trade-off. For basically just map clearing, I'll just keep this in. It works absolutely fine. I want to just take out the enemies, obviously, as fast as possible. I did just hit maps, so I really can't say anything past tier 1. So if you're looking for the ultimate tier 15 build, maybe this is it, maybe it's not even close. Only one way we'll know, and if this does actually work out till then, I can always make an update. Second skill, Explosive Grenade, physical converted to fire. The problem with this is, and I don't necessarily like this decision, I really would love to use Scatter Shot on here, but I chose Witch Hunter instead of the Gemling Legionnaire, so we can only use it once. I think just getting down more Storm Bolts, as opposed to 5 instead of 3, I think is more valuable. I do have a talent that we'll go over in a second that gives me a second grenade, and there are some crossbows that will add a third, but could not find one with the stats that I would really want. So this is pretty simple. Rising Tempest, 12% more elemental damage for each skill used recently. So this is skill 1, there's 12%, skill 2, there's more. And I think you can actually watch it go up here. It's 34, 56 DPS. I shoot lightning bolts, or the Stormblast Bolts, it's 38. Shoot the grenades, it's 41. So as you're fighting a boss, as you're fighting a ton of enemies, that's pretty much going to stay higher. Magnified effect, 40% more area of effect. I kept this on grenades as opposed to Stormblast Bolts. Reason being, I want these grenades to blow up as many of these as humanly possible. So if I can get this large area to just detonate, that's awesome. That's exactly what we want. And then Fire Infusion, just 25% more fire damage. I'm running Herald of Thunder. This is more dexterity based, and that's pretty much my primary stat right now as a mercenary, and then running Lightning Infusion with it. I do want to incorporate Herald of Ash, but I just don't have the spirit. Like I said, I just hit maps. My gear's pretty much garbage. I'm not even at the resistance caps. Evasion's at 50%. It's not bad. I want to try and get it higher though. Skill tree. Ascendancy, Witch Hunter, like I said, I went with Pitless Killer and Judge Jury Executioner. Your first strike is going to take 5 to 30% off anything, even if it's a unique boss, and then this just kills them faster. I don't know what I'm going to use my 3rd and 4th Ascendancy for. Right now, I'm thinking Sorcery Ward. It is 50% less armor and evasion rating, but if you get this, what that's going to do is regenerate it faster. And if we go here, we can see that it's going to be an 8.5 second recharge. So basically a little over 4 seconds with that second one, and it's going to do 30% of armor and evasion rating. So if you have it high enough, that's easily like an extra 1500, 2000 life. That's just constantly recharging. I'm probably going to go with this because dead DPS is no DPS, although this is very tempting here. So skill tree, when I started leveling, I went down the armor and evasion path thinking I'm going to just, get my defenses out of the way. Everything can scale from there. I'm going to take damage later. I quickly found out that it just wasn't working. Starting like that was absolutely painful. I eventually switched at around level 30, 40 to this one here where it just takes a lot of projectile damage. And then here, the area of effect and cooldown recovery rate. Went here because I want the cooldown of grenades to be as quick as possible. And then, like I said, area of effect, I want it to be as large as possible. I didn't pick these up right away. I picked these up not too long ago, but we'll get there. So what I would do if I'm starting off leveling again, I would come down this tree here. I'd make a right and come over to here, get these projectile damages, and then here's more increased area of effect on attack. Now you're not going to have Stormblast Bolt because that's a level 31 skill. Up here, projectile speed, don't want it, don't care. Then I would come down to here, make a left, and then I would get reload speed. My god, reload speed is like a game changer for this class. Sitting there reloading, doing no damage, and really only dodging is not the most fun thing in the world. So get this first, and then you can get the grenade damage here, and then here 25% reduced grenade fuse duration, so they'll explode slightly faster. Love it. From there, come down, come to the crossbow, and then you have all these crossbow skills here. I want the bottom track just to have that 15% chance to activate a second time. I don't want grenades to really just be an activator skill for Stormblast Bolts. I want both to be effective. That way I have good fire damage, I have a little bit of physical damage that's not converted, and I have that lightning damage from the Stormblast Bolts. I chose to come up here basically just for this 25% increased damage with crossbows for each type of ammunition fired in the past 10 seconds. So we have the grenades, and we have the Stormblast Bolts. That's 2, so right there is 50% damage increase. I might end up coming down here eventually when I start working on crit, but once you get this, come over here and just the Giant Slayer again. You're still pretty early in the game. You're not that strong yet. I don't think at this point you're probably going to be around the point where you can get Stormblast. Maybe a little earlier, but it's pretty painful fighting rares and uniques. At least it was for me, because remember at the time I think I was still the evasion path over here with this life regen. So this is absolutely a game changer because it's just more attack speed and more damage against rare and unique enemies. You can get over here if you want. This will increase the calling strike by 25%. So that might help you kill a little quicker. From there, if you have Stormblast Bolt right now, come over here and get Lucky. Lightning damage with non-critical hits is Lucky. So what Lucky is, it's basically going to roll the damage twice and pick the higher one. Lightning has a very large range of about what it can hit. So I think this is, well, pretty much needed. It's not going to guarantee it's going to be, a large hit. It could roll 2 small hits, but the odds of you increasing your damage over the course of like a whole map is going to be better if you have this. And then you can either come and get Flash Storm for lightning pen and increased shock chance. I like this one here, Emboldened Avatar, more ignite and more shock. And then this one is also just 15% penetration for enemy resistances. So we both have fire and we have lightning. So can have the dual threat there. Now if you have Stormblast Bolts, that's the word I'm looking for, come down here to get this. Grenade fires an additional projectile. This is going to help explode the Stormblast Bolts in that wider area that I was showing earlier. So this is definitely probably your last real big game changer. There's this one here that I got. I don't know if I'm going to keep this. I don't know if it's really worth it. I really don't have that many issues where I just don't have a grenade or 2 to shoot. I really don't shoot more than like 2 grenade shots at a time, and with all the recovery rate, they recharge pretty fast. From that point, definitely make sure you get these. Here's more evasion rating. You definitely want to live. Now these 2 here are interesting. If you get both of these at the same time, I think it's pretty much just a 70% flat increase to evasion. So the one is increased evasion if you've been hit, and then reduced if you haven't been, and then this one's the opposite. 100% increased evasion if you haven't been, 30% reduced if you have. So what I did here, instead of just sacrificing myself for like a level, I just waited till I got one of those dual skill books and just took both of these at the same time. Right now then, I'm doing a couple things. One, I came over here to get all of this area of effect for attacks. The outer ones are 8, and then you have this 20% one here, and then again, cooldown recovery rate for the grenade recharge. I might grab this one over here just for another increased 8%. I want to get up here more attack speed, but specifically just from a survivability standpoint. 8% chance to blind enemies with hits on attack, and here's another 20%. If the enemy stuns you, they are going to be blind, and then here's a little bit more attack speed and more chance to blind. I think it works out to about 43% chance to blind enemy with an attack. So with that and evasion, you should be looking pretty good just from being surrounded by all the enemies that come with everything like ritual. I also want to come down here. I should probably just start focusing on one at a time instead of this hodgepodge of where I'm putting my points. But I do want to get this one here. It's 10 strength. You need strength for crossbows. So that's 15% increased area of effect with attacks, something we want. And then this one, a little bit reduced attack speed, which, if we come back down here, here's 3%, 3%. So don't really have to worry about that. That'll just kind of even itself out. Give you a little bit of stun, increased stun build up, but 40% damage for 2-handers. So I'm right now at level 68. So I figure with what I'm going to have left after I get these 5 notes here, after I get this one here, after I get these 4 here, I guess it's going to depend on where I'm at. If I am surviving just fine, then I'm probably just going to get some crit nodes. I'm going to get these, probably get, you know, at least these 4 here, these 2. I don't know if I want the reduced attack speed here with crossbows, but that 80% increased damage with a crit is pretty juicy. And then there's these 3 crit nodes here, 10% there, 10% there, and then 80% if you haven't crit recently. So the recently in this game is 4 seconds. So if I want to do a little bit more damage, I can go crit route. If I want more survivability, I can just either come right over here. Here's armor and evasion rating. And then this is one of those, you know, increased evasion rate if you have been hit recently. So kind of ties into, you know, these 2 nodes over here. There's also additional armor and evasion rating down here. These are kind of interesting. I don't really have a lot of armor, but if you have gloves and you get armor on them, that'll be a little bit more physical resistance, and then it'll give you an evasion rating for every armor on those gloves. So that's a little bit of an interesting node there. And then 8% of your evasion rating also goes to armor. Just keep in mind that if you do go Spirit Ward, it's 50% less armor and evasion rating. So there's kind of a trade-off. Might have to do that if I'm just having some trouble surviving. I haven't even attempted to get my 3rd and 4th ascendancy point yet. So that's where I'm at now. And I guess we'll have to see where I go from here. So I hope if you do decide to do this, I hope this helps. I hope it gives you something that's necessarily not meta. I know it's still, you know, grenades make things go boom build. It's just a different skill. I've tried respeccing a whole lot to get to where I'm at, so I've sold a lot of items. Just to give you an idea of what this actually plays like, I think there should be some enemies here. What I tend to do is just, there we go, shoot grenades first, and then Stormblast Bolts, and then things just blow up. So what I'll do, I will go run a new map, and yes, I know it's only going to be Tier 1, but it'll give you an idea of how it plays, what it's like against, you know, unique enemies, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks.
Here it comes! coin.